David Icke is what the CIA call a conspiracy theorist.
Right.
Now, he's charging $140 at the Sydney Town Hall, and he's selling out, is David.
Oh, yeah.
He's a former British footballer who believes that terrorist attacks such as 9/11 are really just a way of controlling the masses. Have a listen. David Icke, welcome to the Grill Team.
Thanks, mate.
Now, David, how does a former footballer who ended up working doing a bit of hosting with the BBC and the sport there get into this line of work?
Well, I mean, like you say, I was a professional footballer. I played for Coventry City. I was goalkeeper.
Right.
They used to call me Cinderella because I kept missing the ball. Yeah. And,
Not good for a goalkeeper.
No, I got so depressed one day I threw myself in front of a bus and it went under me. You know what I mean? So anyway, I then became a journalist, newspaper, radio, then a BBC sports presenter on their main programmes. National spokesman for the British Green Party because I didn't want to enter politics. And then I started coming across bits of information to start with, which led me to believe that the powers that appear to run the world, like governments and here today, gone tomorrow politicians, were not the ones that actually ran it. And as I moved along through the 1990s, because I've been now researching this in 60 countries over the last 26 years, this massive panorama opened up of this hidden network which is always there. I'll give you an example. In America during the Bush administration, the Bush administration was controlled, even the mainstream media in America accepted this, by something called the neocons, neoconservatives. The Democratic Party has a group of people which I call the democons, and the democons and the neocons at the next level are controlled by the same people. So whether you've got a Republican in power or a Democrat in power, that force behind the scenes is always in power. And that's why you've got Obama. How many times could he have said, change, I stand for change? Mm-hmm. What has happened? It's been a continuation of the Bush administration because there's an unfolding agenda. And it's for the centralization of power in fewer and fewer hands. This is what globalization is. And it is more and more surveillance and more control of the people. And you know, I come to Australia, I look at the stuff that I'm doing in other countries and saying in other countries, and I start researching Australia, and everything on the list that I am exposing in Britain and Europe and America is all happening in Australia because it's a global network.
Wow.
So, David, some theories that, do you truly believe in these? Government control the weather?
Oh, that's very straightforward. The CIA have come out and said, of course, not they control the weather, but other governments and other forces are able to control the weather. Do you know, in 1952, there was a catastrophe in a village in North Devon in England called Lynmouth. What happened was, out of nowhere, they had 250,000 times more rain in a very short period than the usual rainfall. A wall of water came down the river, smashed the place to pieces, killed 35 people. And they said, oh, it's a mystery, what's happened? In 2001, a BBC radio documentary, and remember this is 64 years ago, revealed that what had happened is the RAF had gone up in the clouds doing cloud seeding using chemicals, and they created this catastrophic rainfall. And that was 64, 1952. What they can do now is extraordinary, because what is weather except just energy? You see, we've got the jet streams dictating the weather going from west to east, and there's technology in Alaska, for instance, called HAARP, which puts out very powerful radio waves and interacts with the ionosphere and the upper atmosphere. And the people that wrote the patents for that some decades ago said HAARP can steer the jet stream. And what has happened in recent years, whether it's droughts in America, catastrophic again, or massive rains in Britain and Europe, the weather experts have said it's being caused by the strange behaviour of the jet stream. They can do this. I mean, you know, the biggest way that people are kept from what's happening in the world is the manipulation of the squeezing of their sense of the possible. You know, if you squeeze the sense of the possible by not talking about what is really possible, then when people like me come out and say this is happening, the reaction is, that's mad, mate, you can't do that. Yes, you can. But you have to research beyond the postage stamp normal to uncover this stuff. That's why it's taken 26 years.
Andrew, you've been saying some of the stuff for a long time.
I've been saying
You lose me a bit, Dave, when you start talking. Like, that makes a bit of sense to me, to a certain degree, and of course I'll take you on your word. You seem like a professional man. What's the thought about most of the world are lizards?
No, not most of the words are lizards.
What is your lizard chat?
There are certain bloodlines, and again, you know, you come on programs in the mainstream media, and for understandable reasons, you've got a very short time to talk about it. On Saturday at the Sydney Town Hall, I spoke for 10 hours.
10 hours?
10 hours. And scratched the surface. That's how much there is to know. And the reaction from the audience was absolutely fantastic. And the audience was everything from 15-year-olds to a 95-year-old, all colours and creeds. Because at the end, they had seen the dots connected, and suddenly there was, oh, I see what you mean now. And if you do it in one-liners, you can't really get it across. But basically, it's this, mate. There is a series of bloodlines which are part human, and not very bad, probably about 4 or 5% of the population, no more, that are part human and part non-human. And these are the bloodlines throughout history which have claimed the right to rule because of what? Their genetics. What is that all about? Why does one group of bloodlines, once called royal, still called royal in some areas, but now in the dark suit professions, why do they claim the right to rule? Because of their genetics. Their genetics must be different. And you know, one of the staggering things for me about royalty and the British royal family is not just that they're hybrids, and that is why they have this divine right to rule. This is what they're talking about. But that in 2016, it's bad enough for Britain to have a head of state purely because of her genetics and because someone had sex with someone else in the right order, so she was the one that went to the throne. But 13,000 miles away, Australia has got this woman. She's sitting in a palace in London, and she's the head of state in Australia and Canada. I can't believe it.
Is she human, the Queen? No.
She's one of these hybrids. You see, here's an example. These hybrids interbreed to hold this. This is, you know, where they're talking about keeping the genes up. What they're doing is holding this genetic structure. That's why they interbreed with each other and always have. And so you can follow them through history. For instance, the character on which Dracula was based, Bram Stoker's Dracula, was a man called Vlad the Impaler in Transylvania, Romania. And he is the most infamous Satanist in history, really. They called him Vlad the Impaler because he used to impale people on sticks and spears and then just sit and watch them die. He used to dip his bread in their blood. This is all historically recorded. And so here we have this man, and he was a member of something called the Royal Court of the Dragon, which goes back to Egypt, ancient Egypt. And it's one of the secret societies of these bloodlines. Now, the present royal family is a descendant of Vlad Dracul. Prince Charles has actually come out and talked about it. He's bought property in Transylvania now as a result of it. And through Mary of Teck, the present Queen's grandmother. The Bush family in America, of course, you know, if it's not the Clintons, it's the Bushes in power. They are descendants of Vlad Dracul. This is how it works, but it's all hidden.
David, there's no doubt you can speak. There's no doubt you can speak for 10 hours, but we haven't got that time
Right.
yet.
Okay.
However, we do have pictures of various other people that do breakfast radio. We want to know if any of these guys are lizards.
Well, I
got to pick. Kyle and Jackie O, are they lizards?
Intuitively, I say all of them. Right?
Yeah, okay.
Intuitively.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Michael and
I am
Terry.
joking, by the way.
Michael and Terry.
Right. Well, they look nice men, do they? They get on well, do
Yeah, are they lizards?
they? I have no idea.
Okay. Amanda and Jonesy.
What are they on?
He's a lizard.
Yeah.
She's lovely. He's a lizard.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And what
right.
about these two absolute knob nuts?
Couple of snakes.
Oh, they've got to be.
Fitz and Whipper, both of them.
Absolutely, 100%.
David, thanks for coming in. We
Been a
appreciate
pleasure.
it. Good on you.
So if you want to hear more of David, a worldwide wake-up talk tonight at Sydney Town Hall.
No, that was Saturday.
That was Saturday.
I'm going to Brisbane now,
Okay.
and then to Melbourne.
Well,
Okay.
a lot
Two
of
Saturdays.
interbreeding up in Brisbane. So
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks,
There's
David.
a lot of inbreeding when I come from.